Good morning. Here's my fancy intro video that I can't be fucked setting up properly, but we'll get there. I know I committed to doing this video yesterday, but I ended up doing 2 different live streams in one day and it all went a bit shit. So today's zero effort, no makeup, fucking nothing. But I'll talk about it anyway. So for those that aren't aware, I talked to Graham Linehan. I can never say it right. Linehan last night, and he was running a bit late. So what we're going to do is do episode 6A tonight, my time. It's 12 p.m. UK time for him. So we're going to continue our conversation. Check that out if you haven't already. We started to brush on where we were going to speak, but I think him and I have a lot to talk about. So, but I thought let's do a thing where I talk about something to do with Australia, because it does seem to have a broader impact / it's got relevance / don't you hate it when you fucking with your magic mouse with the Mac, if you get a hair underneath and it won't fucking work. So do you remember cleaning the mouse balls? Anyway, so I don't even fucking look at my shit. Oh well, whatever. Okay. I'm a bit over it at the moment. I mean, it's good to see that, like, a lot of it's good to see that videos are being done, but it's a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm very tired. I had a late night. And, so we'll continue the interview later on, and I'll probably do a proper episode if I can. But this one's just more my daily grind stuff. So hang on, let me put comments on because I just realized that people are commenting and I can't see. So Sirene's here. Yay. Freaky Red Star's here. Yay. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Let's just keep it fast and loose. But I do, you know what? Like, I mentioned this in my stream and with conversation with Sirene the other day about what the Australian government are doing with humanities degrees. Like, people are focusing on arts degrees, but they're also doing it to law, commerce, and comms, I think. We'll get to the article. I'll figure out the details. And there is a little the problem with being where we're at, right, is that I can diagnose the problem, which is that I think there's been, I was talking about this, how long ago was it? Leader, new follower and Australian. Hello, how are you? But being where I'm at politically with this fucking, where everybody's lost their minds. I feel like everyone's crazy. But also seeing, sort of diagnosing some of this stuff. It's coming out of the universities. And I think I can't remember what stream it was that I talked about it, but my mixed feelings about degrees and education. Like, there shouldn't be a hierarchy. I got out of, if you don't know my story, I got out of poverty, right? I grew up with nothing, right? I was the first person to graduate university in my family. And I think I still am. I was pretty much the first person to graduate year 12, right, let alone university. And I didn't have any hope. I was broke as fuck, right? And my way out, what I wanted to do when I was in school was be a journalist. It's actually quite funny because I found a weird thing that didn't exist, but my rough skill set is around this. I wanted to either be a journalist, a lawyer, a senator, or something in public life, public service, and sort of that sort of thing. I was always interested in that. So for me, the logical step was to do, and I also loved multimedia. So this is how old I am, children, that when I went to university, they did not have a degree in internet, anything. The only degree that was available was computer science, which I'm capable at maths, but I just find it so fucking boring, right? So I couldn't do that. It's too much maths to do computer science. and or multimedia, which was sort of the old macromedia director. You were literally creating interactive presentations on like CD-ROMs, right? So what I did was I got into I repeated year. I got in one of my many times where I've been very, very unwell. I got sick during year 12, so I had to repeat year 12. So I went. I was going to go to university to do multimedia, but because I ended up having to repeat year 12, I then took a politics class at Canning College, right, at the sort of the adult education place. I'm telling you this story because there's a passage to it. There's a point to it, because it shows that these pathways aren't as clear as the sort of, oh, well, no one's going on their gap year in Europe, so let's just charge them more. Like, it's so fucking tone deaf, right? But this was my career path. For a career that didn't exist, right, still doesn't, but, you know, I've cobbled together somewhat of a career out of this. So I found myself, I was going to go to university to study multimedia and communications journalism. That was what I was going to do. I then took a politics class when I repeated year 12, and I fell in love with systems, politics, political systems, persuasion. I went, oh, politics is my life, right? It became my life. So I went, okay, what I'm going to do is do a Bachelor of Arts in Politics, Legal Studies, and I will also pick up some multimedia units, but only the ones I'm interested in, because, again, this was new. Like the internet, there's a lot of stories. Verboten is partially about telling stories about the internet and your relationship with it. But for me, the internet was not really something that was a real job, right? This was even in 1997, right, when I was choosing my courses. It was not considered, it was considered sort of the risky choice, which is quite a funny thought now, because I'd be a fucking Silicon Valley billionaire if I'd just fucking I'd never back the right horses at the right time. I always back them, always too far ahead, and then go, nah, that's stupid. Don't do that. You know, no one's going to like that. You know, and then I end up being right, and it's like, fuck, now I'm poor again. Anyway, so, but what I did was I basically went to uni, did the arts degree, legal studies, and whatever multimedia units I was interested in, creative writing, right? Now, we were going through the Liberal government then as well. So in year 2 of my degree, I think, was it year 99 or 2000, one of those, and I was actually in the student guild as education vice president. So I was a student politician. I was full on into all that shit. And but it was also the reason that I chose that degree, right? Because I could have gone to do law, right? But okay, first of all, at the time, law degrees were competitive to get into. So I have worked multiple part-time jobs since I was 14, since I was old enough to work, right? So my study path, because I was born with the circumstances that I was born in a family that didn't necessarily even support me getting an education, right? What that did was you're just limited. You have to make decisions, right? And that's what I think Cyrene and I talked roughly around that, which is that people who are living at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid get this, which is that we have to make imperfect decisions that resources, support, imperfect, people with this is where privilege is a real thing. Okay. And that's where a lot of these fucking fucks on woke fucks are dickheads, because they haven't had to make these decisions, right? They went to do an arts degree because their parents expected them to go to university, and they're elitist pricks, not because it was a pathway out of poverty or because they had to make certain decisions. So I see it from two sides. So I will get to my point eventually, but I'll tell a story. So When you are born poor, I call this, it's just the poor tax. It's the poor tax that you pay. Even in Australia, we used to have a much freer higher education system than we do. In the 70s, the Whitlam government made university education free for every Australian citizen. Then over the years, that was gradually eroded by governments. So it became then a student loan system, like a low interest. I think it started as no interest. Don't quote me on that, but it was no government loan. Then it became a called HEX debt. So what you would do is you'd take on a debt. Then they gradually started to introduce full fee paying places, and that I was part of the opposition to that. When I was in the NUS as a student politician and education vice president, a big part of my role was making sure that we lobbied against that. That clearly worked. I'm always on the winning side of fucking history, but it's the right side. And so basically what happened is over a period of time, the government have sort of gradually by stealth introduced full fee paying places and international students is a separate fucking issue. It's, like you just get accused of racism but there was a turning point through my university education where I can't help but see the trend between the offering of upfront fee, full fee paying places that were offered to rich kids who didn't get the grades to get in and weren't accepted, turning universities into corporations, right? Like in America, Harvard's like one of the biggest fucking billion fucking dollar businesses in the entire country, right? Turning colleges into businesses rather than educational institutions, allowing rich kids to come and buy their way into a fucking cornflake packet degree, right? And what was I going to say? I think there were 2 points and I thought there was a third. You know what I do. Anyway. But I've seen this erode because my undergrad, so basically I was 2 years in, I did political science. So my arts degree, right, was important to me. But I chose my arts degree. Oh, that's right. I was talking about law. So, I could have gone to law school, but I didn't because I had to work 2 jobs. So therefore, you get through year 12. So you're anchored down, right? This is that thing. It's like a sticky, it's not so much about wanting an easy road or anything like that. It's just making sure that you're not sort of constantly pulled down with fucking, basically taxed for coming out of the wrong fucking vagina. That's basically what happens, right? That's not very fair. That's my vision of the world. Doesn't mean I'd necessarily agree with equity either. I'm just saying that it's complicated. I have complicated feelings about it because I know what it feels like to grow up as a poor kid with no support and make the kinds of decisions that I made with no support, very little support. In fairness, I did get a little bit of help from, my granddad being a Freemason and that sort of stuff with little grants and stuff. But, overall, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, this is a cumulative thing. So when you go to school, I didn't get to do the extracurricular activities because I didn't afford it. I got to go to the Girl Guides. I loved the Girl Guides. But again, autistic girl, didn't understand girls. I would have been better off in the Scouts, right? But so that got a bit yucky and bullied and all that shit. But I really enjoyed sort of earning badges and learning all that sort of stuff. So the Girl Guides gave me a good sense of sort of stuff, self-esteem, social skills, things that I didn't do. I love the Girl Guides. And the role that they play. That's why I've always had this sort of strong affiliation with sort of sisterhood, even though I don't understand women at all. I've had a strong affiliation with the role that female-only spaces can create for people, away from men. But because a lot of my experiences have been formed around, living in an abusive household and my grandmother, Girl Guides, teachers who believed in me, being sort of away from that environment, keeping me safe. Right, that's the kind of thing So that's part of the reason why I see this stuff. So, but you hit year 12, you're 17 years old, you've got to choose your future. I chose, I knew I kind of roughly what I wanted to do, but I also knew that I needed to go to university in order to get a job, right? Or in order to progress my career. TAFE was not really an option because I wasn't interested in anything like that. I wanted to learn and I wanted to be smart. And I wanted to eventually become a lawyer or, that sort of stuff. So the arts degree was not only something that I fell in love with, but it was also something that allowed me to work part-time, because when you're not a fucking rich kid, guess what you got to do? You have to work through university. So, if you are in a situation where you have to work from the age of 14, you have to make less than perfect and less than ideal decisions, right? I don't know. I think that something like every child having some sort of education grant that they can use, right? That would probably be more of a better situation, but whatever. Now, so that's what you do. The arts degree. You choose the arts degree. That was easy. I could do it. Admittedly, I fucked around a bit because I got too involved in student politics, and also when I was younger. And this is where the social stuff comes in around choice, right? Which is that I got married young. I had a child. I had, various other things, right? Technically, bros, they were all choices. But if you, study any kind of social work, you realize, or whatever, is that choices are complicated and that you're the product of your environment. So me having a baby at 22 was old for my family. Let's put it that way. So I got married, had kids. So then I ended up sort of part-time degree. It took me 5 years to graduate from a 3-year degree, partially because I got heavily into politics and political activism, but also because I'd had a baby. And sorry, I will read it in a minute. Sorry, I saw it pop up, Rain, and then I got I'm not feeling well. I'm also pissed off about that fucking Karen video. I'm still fucking mad about it. I'm so fucking sick of this shit. Anyway, so I'm distracted by my rant. If you go to my Twitter, you'll see my rant about the Karen video, like just how hypocritical. Like it's apparently, a man standing over a woman while she begs him to stop. That's woke. If she's called a Karen, it is just revolting. It is so revolting, and it's fucking traumatized me because if you've ever been a woman in the position of sort of a man standing over you while you beg him to leave you alone, like you can't look at that and not fucking see how the world laughs at that. Yet one dude fucking I'm not, again, I don't want to start anything, but I'm saying one man, the whole world erupts. And I know it's not just one man. I'm just saying, okay. But, women, the cry of a woman to leave her alone. And that that's funny because she's a Karen and deserved it anyway. And it's white tears. Yeah, fuck off. They're actual tears for women. So anyway, okay. Misogyny is not suddenly woke as fuck. Misogyny is universal, right? This idea, I think that's where feminists went wrong. I'm gonna digress for a second. Right? This one, okay? Misogyny, suddenly woke as fuck, right? One of the mistakes that the feminist movement largely did, was abandon women on the right and not see feminism as its own fight. Right, like libertarianism or authoritarianism, or all those sorts of we should have detached it from the political spectrum, and that's where because Marxist analysis looks at the working class regardless of where they fit politically. Right, that's the mistake that feminism did, was sort of tethering ourselves to the left, right, and abandoning the women on the right. And yes, the women on the right didn't help us, but the women on the left fucking aren't right now either. Okay. So try to have a bit more sympathy for the women on the right, because, like all this bullshit infighting about how feminism is a left-wing issue. No, because there's women there too, women on the right too. Stop lying. This is a universal fucking problem, which is that misogyny is universal. okay? And internalized misogyny is universal. So it's women. That's a mistake that the feminists, again, I don't like these monoliths, but I'm just saying the feminist movement, right, became largely dominated by the left at the expense of the right, okay, and didn't actually listen to conservative women on certain issues, especially around abortion rights and those sorts of things, right? I think that if we had sort of, again, hindsight's 2020, right? There we go. Maybe that's why 2020 is the year. It's the year of hindsight and fucking lessons. Anyway, so my point is, I think that that's something that we need to sort of do better, which is to build bridges with women, no matter who they are, and fight for the rights of women as a class. And all women, like even with Marx, right? Okay, I'll defend Marx. Marx is about the working class, whether they agree with you or not, right? The interests of the working class, same thing. Again, making that a left-wing ideology is something that, I think we did wrong. So, right. Anyway, my point being, that was $60,000 commentary, TLDR. Okay, so, so the problem with being born a poor kid is that the arts degrees are a pathway. They might be, fuck the liberal in Australia, the liberal government is the conservative government here. Okay, so that's why it's confusing. But so fuck them, because I've worked with these fucks. I came on. I've had their attitude to the university education system is abhorrent. I was part of the student guild that was basically bled dry and made insolvent by. So basically, the young liberals, they're always so fun. The young conservatives, there's always something fucking wrong with them, right? Sorry, but there's always, if you are like conservative when you're 19 years old, there is something a bit off about you. I'm sorry, there just is. Anyway, because it's, these ideas, you're supposed to be idealistic and dreaming and wanting a better world when you're young. I don't worry. Anyway, but economic rationalism, right? But what liberals do is they destroy things. They like to go into institutions that they hate and destroy things. That's precisely why I don't believe that wokeism is a left-wing ideology, because wokeism behaves precisely like any kind of neoliberal sort of economic rationalist fucking movement, which is what they'll do is they will take over the organization. They will dismantle it from within. They'll cause chaos, and basically it just kills itself, right? That's not a left-wing thing necessarily. The left that I'm part of is generally builders rather than destroyers. But that's always been a pattern that I've noticed with the most aggressive neoliberal economic rationalist types, is that they enter the organization, they then, they take it over and then destroy it from within, right? They gut it, right? That's what hedge funds do. They do the same fucking thing. So anyway, that was a side point. But so I was part of this when that first wave of attacks on higher education in Australia, when my degree halfway through was my faculty. They completely dismantled the Faculty of Arts, right? So with this new model, I went to Edith Cowan University, but this new model where after all of the sort of fee-paying stuff, right, upfront fees and all that stuff, they decided that they were going to go more into business and law. They were going to throw all their money into commerce, business, and law, right? And education as well. And so, because Edith Cowan's history was very much a teaching university. So it was one of the best universities where you could go to study teaching. And so they kept that. But then they decided that they were going to get more of the upfront cash. So they went, okay, let's do more commerce, business, law, that kind of stuff. And so what they did was they dismantled the arts faculty. And I was in the Faculty of Arts. and my degree no longer existed. So they said basically what you could do is we'll still technically give you your, Bachelor of Arts at Politics and Government and Legal Studies. That was what I graduated with. But what I ended up graduating with was a sort of major in a mishmash of I'd done most of my politics units by then, but what I had to do was I had to just try and fucking make a degree out of all of these electives. So what I did was some business law, economics, comms, and creative writing, and just this weird cobbled together thing. So that's how I ended up with this sort of cross-discipline insight. Now, that degree allowed me to graduate under legally as a graduate level 2 for social worker with the child protection. So that gave me a way in. And I was like, yes, I want to do this. I want to make a difference. That sounds great. Let's do that. And I've talked about this before. That fucking broke me. And I was like, no. So, technically qualified as a social worker, but didn't want to be one, right? So then I went into policy from there. But anyway, my point was, right, and in the background of all of this, right, I was trying to raise kids, a young daughter at the, not daughter at the time. She's still a daughter as far as I know for now. Trying to raise kids, graduate, try to find some sort of career. But in the background, all this technology stuff was happening, all this web stuff. And it was emerging. So I just started blogging, started building websites, designing shit. And then I started designing shit for other people. And then, that's what happened. So it's very weird kind of. And then I did masters. After that, did half of a grad dip psych. I think I've only got like 3 units left on a grad dip of psych. I've just done a lot of stuff. So I've never quite figured out where I fit. I was going to do a law degree and then I was going to do something else. And it's like, fuck it. Let's just do YouTube. It's just as good as anything else. Let's just interview fucking comedians. So anyway, my point being, let's talk about this. All right. So humanities degrees to double in cost as government funnels students into job-relevant uni courses, right? So the cost of studying humanities at university is set to double, but job-relevant course fees will be slashed under an overhaul of tertiary education announced by the federal government today. So under the tertiary education overhaul, humanities and communications will be in the same cost bracket as law degrees, which I find quite funny. All right. Now, I understand why. Like in Australia, there's too many lawyers. We've got too many fucking law graduates and way too many people graduating with like too much debt and like bullshit degrees. The thing that annoyed me was the coverage around this, right? And so I've been very critical and pretty openly skeptical about the value of these POMO factory degrees, right? They're fucking ugh. And I think that some things have just run their course and they're a load of shit, right? I tried to hold my nose and do a master's degree just recently in internet studies to try and I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear it. It's just like, fuck me. This is a waste of everyone's time. So I'm just more material. I'm just more of a policy person. But so basically, so the education minister, Dan Tehan, I don't know how to say his name. I don't watch the news, also announced an extra 39,000 university places for Australian students will be funded by 2023. Now, this is the thing that pissed me off. Demand for 2021 is already soaring, with the estimated 20,000 Year 12 students who usually defer university now less likely to take a gap year because of travel restrictions, right? And the poor jobs market. And the way that this has been sold, right, is just this complete blindness to the gateway and the pathway that university used to provide for people like me. Right. So on one hand, I'm a bit conflicted. Right. So on one hand, I feel like it's funny. I always will laugh because I've been under attack. I talked about this a few streams back where I said like the arts faculties have been constantly under attack since, fighting for their existence forever. Right. and it's nothing new, right? The liberal fucking, the right wingers hate the humanities. They think it's a lefty factory, right? And it is. It's now a woke factory, but there's also some good shit that comes out of that too, right? So there's a little part of me that's like, oh, yeah, these fucking bullshit kids. But what annoys me, and this is the thing that I oppose with the Liberal government, is that there's only one story being told. Like with the home ownership, that narrative, that one fucking hero's journey, the template for how you live your life, right? If you're young and anybody is telling you that life is linear, then don't listen. Okay, it's not. There's so many different ways to do things, and if I knew that you could just fucking log on to Open University, I would have just gone and not whatever. Anyway, it's all changed. The deregulation of university and opening it up and making it fee paying. Everyone just basically gets whatever degree they want. And I was surprised how easy it was to just sign up for my LLB last year. I just couldn't. I'm too fucking old to be a baby lawyer. I don't want to do it. I want to be a lawyer now. If I could just do like a 1-year course and be a qualified lawyer, like if I could be like Kim Kardashian and just decide I'm going to be a lawyer and buy my way in, that'd be fine. But some of us have to actually fucking work. Anyway, so anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the point is this one narrative, right? That like who are these fucking rich cunts in the government, right? Who have arts degrees, I might add, arts and law degrees that they probably got during the Whitlam era for free and have gradually fucking made more and more expensive as time went on, right? This whole generation of people who got free fucking degrees now making us pay for them, right? It is kind of funny. I can appreciate how funny it is, though. That's the thing, right? It's like, because the arts faculty, all the arts grads, all the useless blue checks are fucking whinging and moaning about how, the Nazis just don't like our degrees because we hold them to account. It's like, no, they think you're a bunch of dickheads and you're a waste of space. Anyway, so I can see it from both angles. But what's lost is that pathway, right, for a poor kid to take on a degree. The beauty of an arts degree is that it is sort of an umbrella. Oh God, dare I say the word umbrella? But it's an umbrella for you to, pick and choose and decide, and you can take lots of different electives rather than just being, this is your clinical psych degree, which has professional requirements. You must meet these minimum requirements in order. Yes, every degree has electives in it. And honestly, I think that the universities will just fucking rebadge their degrees. So what they'll do is what this will do is cause a critical theory fucking invasion into everything else. Because this fucking mind virus is awful. Anyway, so what they're going to do is start putting dumb people in STEM. That's just... Anyway, get some self-awareness. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, accept it, move on. I don't want to do software engineering, computer engineering, because I hate maths. I didn't ask them to change it so I didn't have to do maths, so I could also still then be a software engineer. I just didn't do it. Fucking idiots. Anyway, so my point is, I don't even know what my point is. But, my point is that, yes, this is actually a this has got so many unintended consequences attached to it, which is, first of all, you take away the one, I don't know, would I have been pushed more into psych or teaching? Oh no, not teaching. Blah. I can barely parent. I don't want to teach. But what would I have done because basically what they've done is, hang on, where is it? Where's that fucking, it's not there. Oh. Is it there? No, it doesn't have the numbers. Anyway, but basically, so you've got the nursing, teaching, education and stuff is all cheaper. You've got another tier, which is STEM, like IT, engineering. The other one's medicine, dental, all of that. And then you've got law and humanities and all of the woke degrees. at like $13,000 a year. For the Americans watching, I know that's cheap, but here that's fucking extraordinary. Now, so, but the problem with this is that if this is just to get rid of sort of arts degrees, right, which is their theory, it doesn't solve the problem. Like if you're, okay, let's just say that you thought, oh yeah, let's get rid of the fucking humanities departments because all these dumb rich kids and blue checks and all these, own the wokes and all this stuff, right? What you've done is made it so that only the richest, only the most elite kids, right, can study humanities, which means that only the elites get to be social work. Or actually, social work, I think, technically falls under the clean psych. Again, it's but my immediate response is that what you're going to have is an elite class of kids whose parents pay their way, who the price doesn't matter, right? But they're the only ones that are going to get to study. Like this will be the death of Marxist analysis. This is going to be a this is kerosene on Pomo, right? There's not going to be anyone who grew up poor and who is poor studying the humanities or discovering it, right? And falling in love with Marxist analysis and going, yes, I understand this experience. Or women or young girls who are in poverty who learn feminism and learn feminist theory and are inspired to do to do work like I have my whole life, right? And yes, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying they're not going to fucking just figure out a way, right? But what I'm saying is that my knee-jerk reaction is that making humanities degrees more expensive for the poor, which is, it always affects those that don't, like selling this like it's just, oh yeah, my two choices are my gap year in Europe versus it's like, fuck off it is. My choices were continue working 3 cash-paying jobs where I was sexually harassed and assaulted repeatedly, right? And robbed at fucking gunpoint and witnessed shootings for another year to try and survive till I can get on Austudy, right? While I go to university and study a degree that I still have to do those jobs, but I'm not stuck in them for the rest of my life. Or, like no one's putting that choice there. Okay. So in the economic rationalist defense of this is that they're trying to cut it off at the supply side. So for those people, like I know if I was a rich parent and my kid goes, I want to study fucking, I want to do cinema studies. And if I want to study critical film and you go, I want to do, although that said, media studies is a very important skill, but I want to study, literature or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not fucking paying for that. I can see that conversation occurring. So, but I also understand that this is such a blinkered view because it's like people who just go, oh, well, just the avocado toast to get, they're eating avocado toast. That's why they can't afford a mortgage. Yeah, avocado toast. I'd need to forego an awful lot of avocado toast to have $100,000 to even enter the market. Okay. You fucking assholes. Like they don't understand that some people just don't have parents. Some people don't have parents to pay their way. And what this does is it just punches the people who are trying to better themselves and have a better life. And, so that's, I feel like I'm just pissed off about it, but I do think it's funny. It's just another thing, the arts faculty. But what you're just going to end up with more rich kids, more dumb rich kids dominating these fucking places and not a single level-headed poor kid with lived experience studying the sociology and actually doing something worthwhile like me, right? I feel that I've done, I've always tried to fight the good fights and I'll continue to. But, like if you don't see that this is going to make the problem work, the problem with critical theory and Pomo bullshit 100 times worse than it already is, because there's not going to be any fucking class consciousness working in those fucking areas anymore. It's just going to be a fucking jerk off exercise for rich kids to sit and talk about the concept of privilege, having never fucking worked a day in their life, right? And it's just like, fuck me. Like, it's just so silly and counterintuitive. I don't get it. Anyway, that was my rant. I don't even know if I made sense. Oh, how long have I been going for? I don't know. This doesn't give you a time, doesn't tell you how long you're going for. Anyway, so that was just me. Now, I'm going to talk about that Karen video thing. Please, I didn't share it because I don't want to watch it, because you know what? I think any woman who's fucking been in that position or witnessed abuse knows that scream. And the fact that there's women that are thinking that this Karen stuff is funny, it's fucking not. Okay? That actually fills me with legitimate fear that I could be out at the shops and I could get harassed by a group of fucking kids. Like, I live in a pretty diverse area where there's often fucking, kids hanging out in the car park being dickheads, right? But if they provoke me and I defend myself, they have the right to film me, call me Karen, and fucking harass me. And my reaction is just white tears rather than a fucking legitimate terror response, right? That's horrific. Like, the fact that, if that's not every woman, then George Floyd is not just George Floyd. It's all of the things. So this video has to be every woman that's ever cowered at the hands of a man, right? I find this distressing. And the fact that Twitter, I can't believe that Twitter just back this Karen stuff. It is not funny, right? It was funny until you learn the history of it. I posted an article on Twitter about it from Megan Murphy. I wasn't aware of the history of Karen. Now I know the history of it. I'm not using it, and I will fucking call me Karen. I don't give a fuck. But it's like, don't use it. It's not funny. It's just yet another thing that allows fucking asshole men to justify violence against women. And all of these fucking handmaidens around them, like, oh my God, like, what the fuck? Your privilege is showing, sweetie. If you haven't heard that begging or witnessed it as a kid, or, been in a situation where you had that fear walking down the street that might happen, then you should shut the fuck up and listen to those who have, because her fucking crying, that was weird too. Because Jesse shared it, Jesse Singal, he shared it, and the replies were all from dudes going, oh, well, she's a bit hysterical. It's like, no, she was fucking afraid. This is the whole thing. This is why men don't listen. Men don't listen. That this is the experience for most women all of the fucking time, which is that we constantly live in fear of moments like that, and then you turn around and say that we're overreacting or hysterical, or that it's funny and that we deserve it. Like, fuck you, right? If you defend that video in any way, then you are my enemy, right? And you're terrifying me. You're actually scaring women. I feel like you know what? I'm actually legitimately, I've already been afraid of fucking people lately, right? I've always been, I don't tend to get, I get anxiety, but I'm not socially, I just do my own thing. I don't cause trouble or anything, but I do have a face that's got a fucking bullseye on it for some reason. Like, I always have a fucking bullseye for crazies because I'm just having a private joke or look like I'm lost or whatever in my thoughts. But now I sit there and I go, what this Karen stuff does, what this has shown me is, first of all, just how fucking utterly misogynistic. I had no idea. I had no idea how much the world hated women until the last couple of years. I really had no idea. And I've been a feminist my whole life, and this is bad, man. Graham made a good point last night, actually, about he's saying, like, we're back 100 years. This is suffragette shit. The fact that a man can harass a woman in the street, I don't give a fuck if she flipped him off. I don't give a fuck if she blew him. It's not the fucking point. Okay? The problem is that now that this TikTok fucking thing of, you know, owning the Karens, right, means that there's always going to be that section of the community that are incentivized by fucking going viral or incentivized or for social capital, right, that think that they could just provoke anyone over 35 who looks like me, right, or who is white or whatever, right, or even younger girls, which they call Becky, right, they can provoke us. And then if we defend ourselves in any way, shape or form, the internet will be laughing at us while we beg them to stop. Like, what the fuck? How is this progressive? How the fuck is this progressive? You are on the wrong side of this debate if you think that that is okay. And if you're a woman and you defend it, like, you clearly haven't lived, right? And if you're one of those women and calling fucking people TERF, then you are absolutely showing your fucking privilege, because you've also never had that altercation in a fucking bathroom. Or you've never had that altercation, you've never been in a rape shelter, you've never been a victim of fuck all. You know, and even those people that, like, and, you know, I'm going to fucking say it, like Benjamin Boyce, where he's like, oh, that's just, there's a lot of women and their trauma. And then he just goes on with his fucking shit. And it's like, no, we have trauma because of male violence, and you dismissing our trauma. Like, it's just fucked. I'm sick of this shit. I'm so fucking sick of just, and I'm sorry to all the good men who don't do this. I'm just, you know, I know that it's not the majority. It goes without saying that this is a not all men situation. But fuck me, right? I grew up with padlocks on my doors because my dad was he didn't do anything, but he used to bring a lot of people home. And so, like, this is the reality of a lot of girls' lives, and it's just fucked. Anyway. Pay attention to women, you fuckwits. Don't laugh at Karens, okay? Karens are just defending themselves in this world. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, sorry, Benjamin. I didn't mean to fucking single you out. It's not your point. It was just I saw that. It's just something that's bugged me, where even the so-called allies, right, they're first in line to dismiss the very real terror and trauma that women feel, right, when they're in that situation. So that video, that should be the George Floyd video for women. And it's not. And that should tell you everything that you need to know, which is that everyone was sitting around going, well, she deserved it because she flipped him off. No, she didn't. Okay. Like, I can't even tell you, there's other things that are sort of racial stuff, right, about white women being used as fucking trophies and prizes and seen as fucking, a power move, right? I can't say that stuff because obviously that paints me in the wrong light. But we know what's true, okay? Fuck that guy. And fuck Twitter for backing it. You know, like, this has just got to stop. It's got to stop. Anyway, I know, I'm sorry. Yeah. And again, they're going to say, oh, well, what's this white woman tears? Yeah, your built-in fucking whatever bullshit. No, they're woman tears. Begging you to fucking stop. And if you're a woman, you should especially fucking stop. It's just revolting. Anyway, sorry for ranting. I just had to get it off my chest. I'm going to go. I love you. I'm on with Graham at 7:00, which is what? It's 11:30 now, so 7.5 hours from now. Okay. So thank you for your precious life seconds. Got that off my chest. I'm going to regret it, I'm sure. I love you. Bye. Oh, yeah. Like, subscribe, Patreon, all that shit. I'm in the process of destroying my fucking life because I'm angry. Bye.